Alright guys, I know I'm a few weeks late with my lists, but there was several films I needed to see before making this thing, and I really wanted to make sure that I was having a complete list, because every year I always have movies that I just completely miss. And when I go back and watch my previous top lists for previous years, there's always movies missing. Wolf on Wall Street, a big one that I missed that definitely would have made my top list for that year. Big Hero 6, another one. This year, I decided to take my time, even take a few months afterwards, soak in some of the movies, find the ones I was missing, watch those if I thought they were going to be good. I ended up seeing over 40 movies, and I'll go ahead and show them to you now. Here they are. Alright, so there you go. There's the movies that I've seen this year. Obviously, I haven't seen everything, but I saw most of the things I was interested in seeing. And I'm glad I took my time because there were several movies that I missed. I'm glad I watched them because they are now on this list. Considering it's February, I figured, okay, time to make the list. The Nice Guys. This was a surprising movie for me. And no one really turned up to the theaters to see it, but it's like a mystery, crime, comedy, action, buddy cop film set in the late 70s. Period movies, I love period movies. This is also directed by Shane Black. He did the first couple Lethal Weapon movies, as he was a writer on those. Last Action Hero. It's not really an easy way to describe how The Nice Guys is, but basically it's like Lethal Weapon meets Fantastic Mr. Fox, like a Wes Anderson type movie. This definitely harkened back to some of the older style of movies. Deadpan comedy, great action, great performances. The kid actor in this movie was really good. The Nice Guys, definitely go back and watch it. I missed it in theaters. Now it's on my list. The Nice Guys. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this one because I already did a review on it. It was a very good movie. There were some great performances. I really loved the Fantastic Beasts that they kind of introduced. They all had like different abilities, different like quirks and character to them. That was, to me, the best thing about the movie. The build up to some of the stuff towards the end, and this child that they're trying to look for, they're kind of setting up for the next movie. It didn't feel it wasn't as good to me as the Fantastic Beasts portion, which is why it's not higher on the list. But it was still a very good movie, especially if you love the Harry Potter movies. Arrival. So this is kind of like a Twilight Zone episode, so to speak, I guess, which I love Twilight Zone. It's basically Inception meets Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's a very different take on the alien movie. It's kind of like, how would you communicate with the alien species? It seems like a normal question that people would think about, but it's basically, there's like this big scale that's shown you, and it kind of focuses in and zooms in on a very smaller scale story, which kind of zooms back out into a bigger focus. I thought it was executed very well. I mean, it was based on an actual short story, but it wasn't based on a comic book or a reboot or a sequel or any of the other stuff that permeates theaters. It's the closest thing you get to an original movie, and they did a great job with Arrival. Magnificent Seven. Say hello again to the classic Western. You know, you can kind of argue that Django Unchained or The Hateful Eight or the more recent movies or The Return of the Western, but those are Tarantino movies and they don't really count as Westerns because they're just over-the-top bloodfests. This is like actually an old-school Western. This is very much had a similar plot to Rogue One, now that I think about it. It's a very small group thrown together to go take this overwhelming force on, and you know that it's going to be a suicide mission. To me, it was just very awesome seeing a film with just minimal to no special effects. This is kind of like Mad Max the year before. I just love watching more old school style movies. CGI is way overused in my opinion. Also, Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt in this movie, very good. Definitely check out Magnificent Seven. Doctor Strange. Once again, one of those things. I did do a 60-second review. It was my first 60-second review. So if you want more on it, check that out. But for the most part, Doctor Strange is just a great movie. It's Marvel at its best. It's very good with these origin type of movies. Doctor Strange was a character I was already familiar with. He basically goes from House to Dumbledore. I said that in my review as well. He is a very interesting character. He is an asshole that somehow turns into one of the best sorcerers on the planet. And you kind of get to see the start of his journey in this movie. The pacing was pretty well done. I would have liked to see some more of the training aspects. I didn't really get to see a whole lot of that. This isn't really a groundbreaking movie in the Marvel films or in the comic book movies, but it's a very well executed movie, and Marvel's very good at executing on their films. It's like Pixar. Most of the time you go to a Pixar movie and you expect a Pixar movie to be good. You go to a Marvel movie, you expect a Marvel movie to be good. I want to see more Doctor Strange. Love Benedict Cumberbatch. Doctor Strange, go see it. So Star Wars Rogue One was a great movie, a great Star Wars movie. Added a lot to it. I'm going to turn this off because it's very loud and I don't know if you can hear me. So Star Wars Rogue One was a great Star Wars movie. The only reason it's coming in where it is on the list is it's not a perfect movie. There are some flaws in the movie, particularly in the characters. I talked about this in my extended review, which you can check out if you like. You got a little bit with Cassian in his little backstory about how long he's been fighting the rebels. It was very snippet, but it's the third act. The third act of this movie is why I'm putting this on my list. The third act was amazing. The first half definitely suffered from a lot of jump cuts and some weird editing choices, but the feel of Star Wars was in this movie. It was a war movie in the Star Wars universe, and it was just very, very good. I'm not going to talk a whole lot more about it because there are reviews up there. Hacksaw Ridge. This was the movie that I did not see in the theaters and I wanted to watch before I did my top 10 list. I'm very glad that I did. Hacksaw Ridge is a very good war movie. Mel Gibson's return to form. I don't really care what you think about Mel Gibson. He has made some and been a part of some great movies. The Patriot, one of my favorite movies. Braveheart, Passion of the Christ. Very, very good films. This particular story, Hacksaw Ridge, is a story of Desmond Doss. He's a conscientious observer during World War II. He wants to serve his country as a field medic, but he refused to use a weapon or do harm. That's the plot of the movie. Obviously, this is met with a lot of resistance from his fellow soldiers, as well as should be, in my opinion. It really is until shit hits the fan on Hacksaw Ridge that Doss is able to prove his worth without the rifle. It's just an amazing story. That is unconventional war films because we get to see a pacifist work on the battlefield. There is a place for that. Now, if everybody was like that, we'd all be screwed. So I'm glad people actually carried rifles in the war. Hacksaw Ridge. Definitely go check that out if you have not seen it. I love The Jungle Book. This was so good. I remember having The Jungle Book on VHS as a child, which I still have, and I just watched that so many times. Honestly, this was a surprising hit for me. I shouldn't have really been too surprised because Jon Favreau was the director of this, and I love Jon Favreau. He's directed many of the great movies, Elf, the first Iron Man. So there was actually a live action adaptation of The Jungle Book back in the 90s. It was pretty good. I liked it a lot growing up. It was actually, many of the scenes were shot near my hometown, and that was a very good movie, but it wasn't about the real story. This really kind of took the original cartoon / the book and turned it on its head and gave you a little bit of different things. I loved how they had the wolves in this. The kid actor that played Mowgli did a great job. The special effects in this movie blew me away. Some of the best special effects I've seen. Right there with Avatar. I love the way that they handled the elephants in this movie. Very majestic type creatures. Idris Elba is intimidating as Shere Khan, and off-the-wall casting decided to put Christopher Walken as King Louis. I can't even with that. I just can't even. Captain America: Civil War, the real sequel to the Avengers film. Very character-driven. It's very direct. It has a very good story, political intrigue, action movie. One of the best action scenes of anything that I've ever seen in any kind of movie or any action movie or anything really. Black Panther introduced, Spider-Man introduced, great characters, great delivery. For having as many characters as it did, this movie did a great job of making all these characters relevant to what is going on. And obviously, if you've seen any of my other previous reviews, I am a big Captain America fan. I have a lot of Captain America things. I'm not at my house right now, otherwise I would be carrying my gigantic replica of the Captain America shield. So for me, I side with Captain America on this. Steve Rogers is definitely not taking the easy way out. He's taking the moral stand. I can't tell you how much I loved Captain America Civil War. It was in my #1 spot for a while, but upon rewatching, there's another movie, an even better movie, that is at my #1 choice, and you may be surprised by it. Here it is.
And here we go.
#1. Psych!
Good one. Yep, that was a good one.
That's right, it's everyone's favorite Deadpool. 0 to hero in no time flat. That was Deadpool. I don't even want to look at it. It's that bad. Reynolds is Deadpool. There was no other person who could play Deadpool. The problem with his acting in X-Men Origins wasn't his problem. The problem was they sewed his mouth shut. The Merc with a mouth had his mouth removed. What the heck? And then they gave him Baraka Pool arms. What were they even thinking with that? Anyway, let's go back to the actual good version of Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. Nobody else could play this character. After his crappy turn in Deadpool and his crappy turn in Green Lantern, which they even make fun of because the fourth wall breaks in this are so good. So great. They did such a good job mixing the fourth wall breaks, the drama of his cancer situation and his like romance type situation. There's good action in the movie. There's good comic book related. This is one of the funniest movie I saw this year. Definitely was Deadpool. So you have every single genre of anything besides horror, I guess. Unless you want to call this face horror, because come on. They even put Colossus from the X-Men in the movie, and they even commented on the complete lack of continuity in the X films. Like I said, there's so much stuff in this movie, and it was executed so well. You know, and their budget, I think, was like 30 some odd million, which if you're not into movies, that's very, very small for this type of movie. In comparison, think about this. Superman and Batman's budget was like $260 million. And that movie sucked. Just goes to show you don't need a bunch of money to make a good movie. Deadpool did it with a very small budget. And the studios finally realized, hey, maybe we should stick to some of the source material. You know, maybe that's where the money is. Definitely my most watched movie that came out this year, and that's why it's a #1. Maybe it's not the most technically superior movie, or, you know, it's not going to win those awards at the Oscars. I'm kind of surprised it was even nominated in the first place. But hey, you know what, Deadpool? You win the award where it counts. My #1 movie of the year is Deadpool. Thank you, and I wish I had an award to give you, but let's see, what do I have to give you? Hold on a second.
600 pounds of chimichangas, 4 pairs of assless chaps, 12 humiliating minutes on a casting couch, 117 script pages, 456 ad-libs. What the shit? 2 nerds, 7 magical unicorns, 3 good walls, and a 4th that's broken.
Did I leave the stove on?
42 rejection letters from Fox, 1 leaked video, and 783 million fans for your consideration.
All right, I'm back, and I'm going to present Deadpool with this great, this is sunscreen. Sunscreen for your bald head, which is what I use. You should definitely use this. You need to protect that skin from the harsh, damaging rays of the sun. So yeah, there you go.
Fake laugh, hiding real pain.
Deadpool.
So, as always, I did a best of poster for this year. It's posted on my DeviantArt account. I'll post a link back to it, and from my DeviantArt account, I'm going to post this back to my video, which I just did, which is this, which is what you're watching now. So I guess there's... Anyway, I'm putting this poster, there's a link in the description below. You can click it if you want to check it out.
I'm touching myself tonight.